Hi guys, Darth here, back with another video. Today, continuing on with my top 10 lists for 2022, we are counting down my top 10 favorite Star Wars The Vintage Collection figures of 2022. It was a really good year for Vintage Collection. I think this is the first year there's been enough new releases where I could even do a top 10. I ended up buying a lot of Vintage Collection this year, which was really nice, really refreshing. If you've been collecting for a number of years at this point, since the Vintage Collection came back in 2018, it's been kind of a rocky start for it. There wasn't very many brand new mold figures at the beginning, and then it's taken them a while, but it seems like they've finally kind of gotten their stride. We're getting a bunch of new characters, a bunch of new mold figures, a bunch of new waves, plenty of new releases, deluxes, gaming grades, all that sort of thing. This year was a really strong year for Vintage Collection. I would argue it was its strongest year, at least in terms of since it restarted back in 2018 anyways. And I would say in many ways it performed and produced better figures than the Black Series in some regards. You can make an argument for either or. I like to collect both lines, so I think there's pros and cons to both. But yeah, really strong showing from Vintage Collection this year. I'm really looking forward to what we get in this new year. But in front of you here is not the top 10. This is honorable mentions. And just with the amount of honorable mentions I have here, there was plenty of really nice releases this year. But just really quickly, stuff like on the left there, the ARC Trooper Commander, or Captain rather, and the standard ARC Trooper. More specifically, it is Fordo. We got those as Walmart exclusives, which was pretty annoying because I never actually saw those in Walmart stores. I had to actually found some of them in store in GameStop Canada of all places, and I got some other ones online from a third-party seller. Didn't put them on the list because they are technically just repaints of like a over 10-year-old figure, but the Captain Fordo is my absolute favorite clone trooper, and those OG ARC troopers are just some of my favorite clone troopers in general. So was happy to get a more animation accurate Fordo, and also I needed a kind of replacement anyways because the crotch on my old one is yellowing. And then it was really awesome to finally get the blue one, the blue marking one as well. So I actually ended up getting 3 of the blue, and I got a Fordo to keep carded as well as have loose here. So I really like those figures. Mandalorian, we got, of course, plenty of characters from the Mandalorian. The Death Watch Mandalorian was a great figure. Would have made the list, but there are already a lot of Mandalorians on my top 10, and I didn't want to have the entire list be Mandos. So I thought, so he is the one that didn't quite make the list. Basically, the only thing I really have wrong with him is he doesn't really hold the rifle really well. If you want to get him in actual rifle aiming poses, it's kind of difficult. But aside from that, excellent figure. I got 2 of him. Casca Reeves was great. Even though she's a bit inaccurate, doesn't really bother me that much. She looks really good. I love the paint and the colors. I think the colors look better than the Black Series version. Gaming greats, stuff like the Stormtrooper Commander from the Force Unleashed on the new Stormtrooper body mold is really good. I love that design for Stormtrooper, one of my favorite Stormtrooper designs, and that turned out great. The Gaming Greats Lando was a surprise for me. I don't think that ever would have made the top 10, but it's actually a really nice figure. I really like Donald Glover's Lando, and I really like that look for Lando for whatever reason. I think it's really fun, really cool, so I really like that figure. And then from Kenobi, we got some great stuff. Reva almost made the list. Say what you will about the character, but the figures that she's gotten have been all really strong releases. The Vintage Collection was no exception. It's a really good figure. And the Obi-Wan Kenobi Wandering Jedi is also really nice. I'm actually surprised they give the Vintage Collection a little tiny Lola. I think that's super cool. The figure itself is really nice. The soft goods robe is pretty good for the most part. The sculpt and paint's pretty decent. And it's good enough where I actually didn't even bother getting the Black Series version. I might get it eventually, I don't know, but the Vintage Collection was good enough where it just wasn't a priority for me. Anyways, I've rambled on long enough about honorable mentions. Let's get on to the actual top 10. And at number 10, we have a figure that was a pretty big grail of mine. It is the Gaming Greats Shae Vizla. And this figure was actually originally released way back like 2011, 2012. I can't remember. I think 2012. It was an insanely hard figure to get back in the day. I never saw it in stores, and it was pretty expensive pretty quick online. And yeah, it just became really hard to get and became extremely expensive on the secondary market. But so I was really surprised and excited that Hasbro decided to re-release this figure in the Gaming Grace line. But not only did they re-release it, but they actually did upgrade it. I thought maybe they just do face print, just give the old head, it came with face print. They actually gave her a whole new unhelmeted head sculpt. The original unhelmeted head sculpt that came with Shae, it looked really bad. I'm gonna be honest, the paint wasn't good. It just did not look good at all. They tried to base it, I think, off her appearance in the trailer. It just did not look good. But this head sculpt is based more on how she appears in the actual game model and with face print. And I think it looks really, really good. I really like how that looks. And the figure itself is really incredible. The sculpt and paint is super impressive, even for a figure that's like 10 years old now, still super impressive. A bunch of accessories. She has her pistols, she has her helmet head sculpt that you can swap out, jetpack, and has 2 flamethrower effects you can put in her wrist, which is super cool. Really the only thing is that because it's an older figure, the articulation is somewhat dated. It's still decently articulated, especially for its time, but things like not having the modern dumbbell joint at the neck, not having ball hinge hips is a really big detriment when it comes to posing her. No ankle rockers, no wrist hinges. Stuff like that kind of holds her back and shows her age a bit, but still really awesome figure. But I did keep it at number 10 because it isn't really much of a new figure. And then number 9, we have Ahsoka Tano from the Mandalorian series, I guess, / Book of Boba Fett. I think she looks exactly the same. Yeah, just a solid release all around. Sculpt and paint is really well done. She comes with her 2 lightsabers. They got the clear blades, which look nice. The head sculpt and face print is pretty good. And especially like the knee articulation is still really good, even though she's got these really bulky legs because of the poofiness of her pants there. Really just a really solid figure of her look from that if you're a fan of Ahsoka from the series. This is just a standard release. They did do a deluxe release that I completely forgot was even coming out. I probably would have got the deluxe release instead. It comes with a few more accessories. That's kind of one of my main gripes with this. She doesn't have her robe or anything. She doesn't even come with an individual lightsaber hilts that don't have the blades on them, which is kind of unfortunate. But still a really good release. Definitely one of the strong releases from this year. Even though I do prefer the Black Series one, I won't lie. Next up at number 8, we have Fennec Shand, which I was really looking forward to getting. I really like the character, fan of the actress. Ming-Na Wen's, I think, a really good actress and is good in this role. And obviously has to go with some of my other figures and characters that came out in this year or in previous years. And yeah, really well done. I think for the most part, sculpted and painted really nicely. She has soft goods, lower robe as opposed to the Black Series plastic, allows for a little more articulation. She comes with a bunch of accessories, more so than the Black Series as well. I love this. She comes with a little jug of whatever liquor this is, I'm assuming. She has her sniper, another blaster, and then you have the swappable helmeted head sculpt. Really, my only real gripe with this figure is I'm not a huge fan of the head sculpt. I think the print isn't too bad. And the sculpt's not terrible, but I don't know. It's just something about it. I do think it looks a little bit off. I think the Black Series did the head sculpt a bit better, but still overall, really solid release. Very happy to have her at this scale with all the other characters that she appears with. And at number 7, you know it's a strong year for Vintage Collection when a character or a figure like this is only at number 7. It is the Deluxe Dark Trooper. And yeah, what a figure. Really, really good. Sculpt and paint is great. Articulation is really well done. And our accessories, I think, is really good. He comes with his blaster. He comes with the flame effects for the thrusters in his feet. Comes with interchangeable hands, closed fists, or hands to hold the blaster. And he even comes with the entire like little section recharge docking station or whatever that's supposed to be, which I think is super cool. Yes, being a deluxe, he was fairly expensive for a 3.25 inch figure. I think you do get a good chunk of your money's worth, more or less. He definitely could have been a little cheaper, but you get more than the Black Series comes with. And he has weapon storage on his leg, which for some reason the Black Series didn't have. Also features light piping, which is pretty rare on a 3.25 inch Star Wars figure. And at first I thought it was kind of cool, and I do appreciate the attempt, but on my review, a lot of people did complain about the light piping, and I've kind of been swayed that it was kind of unnecessary, kind of doesn't really work, because there's not usually going to be much light going through those. They should have just painted them. I do kind of agree with that now. But still, really cool release. The Dark Troopers are just super awesome. And at number 6, we have our first... well, not my first Mandalorian, because Shae Vizla's Mandalorian. We got another Mandalorian, and it is the Super Commando Captain from the Clone Wars. And it's about time we got these figures as fully articulated in the line. These guys have been a long time coming. I'm sure myself and pretty much all of the collectors have been wanting the Clone Wars Mandos and made in figure form for many, many years at this point. I never got the Black Series ones, but I never really cared too much because they used that really dated Jango Fett body. These are a whole new sculpt. They already used it 3 times this year, and it's perfectly fine. It's an excellent mold that works really well. It poses phenomenally. I really like the paint apps. That Darth Maul motif on the armor I've always loved on the Mando armor. The captain's always like the spikes on the helmet on the shoulder pads. But out of all the ones they released this year, this one's actually my least favorite. I thought he'd be my most favorite, but there's things about the other ones I just like more than this one. Like, I don't really like... It's accurate, don't get me wrong, but I don't really like the beige undersuit. Some of the colors used, I just think some of the other figures were just kind of cooler. But this is still really, really nice. I did get 2 of these guys. Yeah, it's really, really great. And at number 5, continuing with the Mandos that use pretty much the same sculpt, we have the Death Watch Airborne Trooper. Very long name, but another super excellent figure. I do really like the paint apps on this one. The color is a bit more than on the Captain. But yeah, just absolutely really well done. The helmet sculpts, they really started to nail the Mando helmet sculpts. They look perfect, really. All the paint apps that went on this guy, the silver and black battle damage, the scuffing, the dark blue looks awesome. The little emblems look great. You got the moving rangefinder. This figure in particular on the right gauntlet has some extra weaponry and hoses going there, which look really good. The blaster pistols, I really like that they're including the rifle, the Mando rifles with them as well, which is super great. Yeah, just another super solid one. I do hope that we get some more of the different looking Death Watch Mandos from the Clone Wars eventually, because it'd be super easy. They just have to pretty much reuse this mold. And then at number 4, surprisingly, my favorite out of all the figures that use the Clone Wars Mando mold is the normal Super Commando. I absolutely love this figure. Love the sculpt and paint. The design, the colors and paint especially is why I like this one the best. The red with the silver battle damage, the black and the gunmetal looks, I think, really, really nice. And the black fabric bodysuit, the undersuit, I think just looks so much cooler than the light beige that the Captain is. I also love how these Mandos can all hold their rifles really, really well. Like, I basically having a full aiming down the sights kind of pose there. I absolutely love that you can do that super easily. That's how well posable they are. Store the pistols in the on the thighs there, which is great. The jetpacks, you know, everything about these, just super solid figures, man. Super good. Absolutely love the Super Commandos. And I like this so much that I actually ended up buying 4 of the Super Commando. I got 2, I think, of every other Mando here, but I got 4 of the standard Super Commando. And at number 3, we have Bo-Katan from The Mandalorian. Another figure I'm sure many people, myself included, are happy she finally got into the 3 3/4 inch line. Again, a long time coming. And yeah, another absolutely amazing figure. The reason why Casca's not on this list, because Bo, she's the first one to use the mold, and she's the better of the 2 in my opinion. Yeah, I actually almost forgot this figure's even released this year because she came out, I think, pretty early in the year. Yeah, just absolutely really well done. Paint and sculpts all really good. I think the head sculpt and face print's actually better on this figure than is in the Black Series figure. I think it just looks a bit better. Looks a bit more how she looked in the show. Maybe still not 100% accurate, but I think it's a bit closer. She doesn't come with the Darksaber. I just gave it to her from Gideon, but I think it looks good. Accessories good. Pistols go in the holsters. The interchangeable helmet sculpt. Jetpack. Articulation's great. Easy to pose and fun to pose. Yeah, just a really super solid Star Wars from the Inch figure. You can't really get much better than this one. And at number 2, we have the deluxe Book of Boba Fett Tatooine. Basically, Book of Boba Fett. I think the only figure of this look so far that's out there. I could be wrong. I know there are figures of this look coming out soon, but I think it's the only one that's out there so far. Black Series did a deluxe. They marked it as Book of Boba Fett, but it was actually accurate to Mando, not Book of Boba Fett. So this was kind of your only option for Book of Boba Fett, Boba. But yeah, absolutely love this figure. I might be in the minority, but I don't care. I really, really liked the Book of Boba Fett as a show. I know a lot of people had issues with it. I really liked it. I don't know. I just really liked it. And I really like this design for Boba Fett. I think it looks great. And the figure is just, you know, close to perfection when it comes to 3 3/4 Star Wars. Paint and sculpt is really well done. He has paint apps that Black Series figures don't get. Sokka's lower robe, that's again really well done. It's not oversized. It flows really nicely. It looks good. It feels good, you know, well done there. Articulation is all the modern stuff that you come to expect now with the modern 3/3/4 Star Wars, which is great. That head sculpt and face print looks really good. It is way better than the Black Series one. I think the Black Series one's decent, but the Vintage Collection one just kills it. Removable helmet that doesn't look all deformed, which is great. A bunch of accessories, his rifle, his pistol, jetpack. You can remove the missile. It comes with thruster effects you can put into his jetpack there. And he came with a couple of beat up Stormtrooper helmets. A little overpriced maybe. Would have been nice to get like a flamethrower effect accessory with him or something. But overall, absolutely excellent release. Definitely one of my favorite 3/4 Star Wars figures in the collection. But there is one figure that beat him out, and if you're familiar with my channel or with me, you probably already know which one it is. And number one for the year with Vintage Collection for me, without a doubt, is the new Obi-Wan Kenobi series Darth Vader, the Dark Times figure. A near perfect Darth Vader figure from Hasbro. You know, the Black Series ones have been really good. I think this one's better than them though, and the old Black Series 3/4 Revenge of the Sith figure was, I think, the last really good 3/4 Darth Vader. And I thought it would be pretty tough for Hasbro to beat it, but they did. This one is just so much better. Even though I still like that figure a lot. The sculpt and paint is just super well done. All the paint is nice and clean and crisp. That helmet sculpt is by far the best Darth Vader helmet sculpt I think Hasbro has ever done on any scale of their figures. I like that the lenses, they made them a different color, but they didn't go overboard, making them like a brown, a really obvious brown or a really obvious red. They've got that really subtle red tint, which is done really well. The rest of the figure, sculpted and painted really nicely. Articulation, all the modern stuff that you'd see on other figures that Vader figures don't usually get, they included here with the ball joint at the neck, the hinges, the shoulders, wrists, everywhere. So all the new hip joints, rockers. You can get this guy in a plethora of awesome poses, and accessories are even very good. Not only did they give him a lightsaber, but they actually gave him a lightsaber hilt that can actually plug to his belt, which you wouldn't think is a huge deal, but for Darth Vader figures, for whatever reason, they never do this, so that's super awesome to see. And they gave him interchangeable hands. You get this closed fist. You get, I think, more of a pointing finger, as well as two grip hands. I would love to see more interchangeable hands with Star Wars figures in general. But it makes this Darth Vader figure just so much funner when you're posing around and getting all these different poses, which I absolutely love. And this guy is just incredible. One of, if maybe not my most favorite 3/4 Star Wars figure that I own. It's that good. Anyways, that is pretty much it. That is the list. So thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what you think down in the comments below. Let me know what some of your guys' favorite 3/4 Star Wars figure releases were of this year. If you collect the line, of course. And yeah, thanks for watching again, and I'll see you all next one. May the Force be with you.